Speaking of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Kelsey Mitchell has finally spoken out. After months of scripted interviews, polished press answers, and nonstop media spin shaping their own stories, the veteran heartbeat of the Indiana Fever gave fans what they've been waiting for: raw, unfiltered truth. She didn't just respond to a question. She dropped a truth bomb so powerful that the WNBA is still buzzing, scrambling to unpack its meaning. Every word carried weight. Every tone was intentional. In that moment, Mitchell reminded everyone that true leadership isn't about being the loudest voice, it's about conviction. What she said wasn't mere commentary. It was a statement with the power to shift how we talk about Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and the WNBA as a whole.
You bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make,
The real debate now is this. Was Mitchell simply expressing admiration, dropping the first spark of a budding rivalry, or hinting at something much larger? Her words felt brilliantly calculated, blunt, honest, and refreshingly authentic, raising the bar for what genuine teammate evaluation looks like in professional sports. That's the question fans are wrestling with today. But before diving deeper into her message, let's step back and consider the bigger picture. Has Caitlin Clark not only transformed women's basketball but also reshaped the global perception of the sport itself? Are we witnessing one of the most pivotal turning points in modern sports history? Could Caitlin truly be the needle? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace. And I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do. And from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt.
That's the weight of the question one Mitchell's comments have dragged straight onto the table. It's exactly why her voice carries so much authority. Because here's the truth. Mention the Indiana Fever anywhere, and you already know what's coming next: the Caitlin Clark question. It's as inevitable as the sunrise. Doesn't matter if the topic is defense, pregame meals, or even the weather. Sooner or later, the conversation shifts. But what about Caitlin? That orbit has become unavoidable in Indiana basketball. And this time, it wasn't a role player in the hot seat, it was Kelsey Mitchell.
Like, you've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, like we was talking, like we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, like girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fold?
And that matters more than most people realize. Mitchell isn't just another name on the roster, she's the franchise's survivor. For years, she was the lone flame in the dark, carrying Indiana through seasons so bleak they were almost unwatchable. This is the same Mitchell who led a team that managed only 5 wins in an entire year. The same Mitchell who endured a revolving door of 5 coaches in 8 seasons, while opponents treated matchups with the Fever as little more than stat-padding opportunities and rest nights for their stars. She was the one left to shoulder the losses, offer polite cliches to the media, and pretend there was progress after another 24-point blowout. That was her reality. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was pushing a boulder uphill every single night.
You guys have made the playoffs the last 2. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that.
So, when Kelsey Mitchell finally spoke about Caitlin Clark, you knew it wasn't just lip service. This wasn't the usual "she's great, she helps the team" soundbite. Mitchell doesn't deal in rehearsed PR fluff. What she gave us was raw, authentic, and forged by years of surviving in the league's basement. And the result? She said out loud what everyone can see but few have dared to admit. Caitlin Clark hasn't just changed the Fever, she's transformed the entire basketball ecosystem. Mitchell's exact words landed like a tectonic shift. Clark has changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball itself. Let that sink in. That's not a casual compliment, it's a seismic admission from the one player who had every reason to be bitter. The cornerstone of the Fever, who fought through irrelevance and pain, looked straight into the camera and essentially said, "Without Caitlin, none of this happens." The sellouts, the primetime games, the international coverage, every bit of it traces back to her.
You were an MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now, and just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that now, a couple years later.
What makes this moment even more powerful is the complete absence of jealousy. No bitterness in her tone, no passive-aggressive jabs, no trace of resentment, just genuine respect. That's what makes Kelsey Mitchell's words so rare and refreshing. And she didn't diminish herself in the process. This wasn't surrender. This was balance. She reminded everyone, subtly but firmly, that before Caitlin Clark's arrival, she was the one carrying the franchise. She was the one grinding through the worst years, laying the foundation so Clark could have a platform to shine. That is an undeniable truth. Mitchell is the reason the Fever never collapsed into total irrelevance. While the league overlooked Indiana, while opponents patted their resumes against them, Mitchell powered the team's identity. She wasn't just keeping the lights on, she was the generator keeping the whole building alive. And now, in 2025, that loyalty is paying dividends not just in stats, but in legacy. Mitchell didn't just acknowledge Clark's impact, she elevated it, while at the same time reaffirming her own. That's the brilliance of her statement. It wasn't about choosing sides. It was about showing that true leadership doesn't fear competition, it embraces it. That's why fans are still talking about her words. Not because they were flashy or dramatic, but because they were real. In a league where jealousy, pettiness, and shade have too often fueled the narrative, whether it's Aya Wilson throwing digs or Cheryl Swoops lobbing criticism, Mitchell flipped the script. She proved that respect and truth can coexist, that you can honor a generational star like Caitlin Clark while still standing tall in your own legacy. And in doing so, she gave the WNBA something it desperately needs: authenticity.
And it's an unbelievable experience. It's a moment that I don't want to, take for granted. I want to cherish it as much as I possibly can. Like I said, I want to use this moment to as a moment to not grow. And so hopefully the mental preparation that I've been through and the things I've been through can kind of help me get through these moments. And then just, loving basketball for what it is and just, loving the game and having fun with it.
Kelsey Mitchell's reflections can't be fully appreciated without rewinding the Fever's journey. When Lexi Hull first arrived, Indiana was still the league's punchline. Wins were scarce, losses were routine, and the franchise lived on the margins of relevance. Mitchell was the one sitting at press conferences, smiling through questions about building blocks, while the team struggled to scrape together 5 wins in a season. She was the one dressing up futility as optimism, all while carrying the weight of a broken roster. Then came Aaliyah Boston, the post-powerhouse who offered the first glimmer of hope. Her arrival felt like planting a flag in the wasteland suddenly. Indiana had the beginnings of a foundation. And then, of course, came Caitlin Clark, a supernova, who didn't just bend basketball to her will, but the entire sports media universe. Overnight, the Fever went from laughingstock to headline news. Through it all, Mitchell never sulked, never complained, never demanded out. Instead, she adjusted, embraced the reinforcements, and recognized that this wasn't a threat, it was the long-overdue change she had been waiting for. That's why her endorsement of Clark carries so much weight. Mitchell has lived both versions of this franchise, and she knows exactly which one sells tickets and shifts culture.
The teammate impersonating her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her. But what has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature at the end of the day.
But Mitchell's words went beyond professional respect. They carried something deeper, more personal. She didn't just call Caitlin Clark a teammate. She called her a friend. That single word matters more than outsiders might realize. In professional sports, where egos and rivalries often corrode chemistry, friend isn't a throwaway label. It's a signal that Clark's integration into this roster has been seamless, maybe even healing. Mitchell made it clear. Clark didn't come to Indiana just to be the star. She came to create an environment where everyone could thrive in her orbit. And that distinction is critical. We've seen super teams collapse in other leagues, too many stars, too much ego, not enough cohesion, and what once looked unstoppable crumbles under its own hype. Clark has avoided that trap entirely. She doesn't demand to be the only spotlight. She plays like the sun, radiating light so everyone else's game shines brighter. Mitchell herself is proof of that impact. Since Clark's arrival, her profile has exploded. She's playing the most efficient basketball of her career, delivering in clutch playoff moments, and finally getting the recognition she always deserved but rarely received. Without Clark, Mitchell might have remained one of the league's best-kept secrets. With her, the nation is watching. And Mitchell doesn't just accept that dynamic, she respects it.
Game one, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
One story Mitchell shared captured this bond perfectly. Caitlin Clark's fine tweet. After Clark joked on social media about being fined, pundits pounced, twisting it into arrogance, classlessness, or immaturity. But inside the Fever locker room, it was comedy gold. The players laughed, loved it, and Mitchell revealed it showcased Clark's humor, something the public rarely sees through all the pressure and headlines. That story drew a sharp line between perception and reality. Outsiders saw controversy. Teammates saw character. Mitchell's takeaway was simple. Relax. It's just Caitlin being Caitlin. And that's the telltale sign of a healthy locker room. If Clark were resented, that tweet could have ignited drama. Instead, it became another example of chemistry flourishing under her presence, which leads to the most intimidating revelation for the rest of the league. The Fever's emerging Fab Four: Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. Together, they're not just a playoff team, they're the blueprint for a dynasty. Mitchell didn't mince words about her commitment, even hinting she'd take a pay cut if it meant keeping this core intact. In today's sports landscape where get the bag is the unspoken rule, that kind of declaration feels almost revolutionary. IT signals that Mitchell sees the bigger picture. She knows Indiana has something historic on its hands, and she's willing to sacrifice to keep it alive. Why such loyalty? Because Mitchell recognizes the truth. The Fever are no longer the league's doormat, they're the storm sweeping through it. With Clark's stardom, Boston's dominance in the post, Hull's grit, and Mitchell's lethal scoring, this team's foundation is built on both talent and chemistry. And what they're building isn't just about this season's playoff run, it's about creating a culture, rewriting the WNBA hierarchy, and transforming Indiana from punchline to powerhouse.
You guys have been plagued with injuries, including to Caitlin,
Yeah.
but you have the best sideline in the league, I feel like, right now. What does it mean to get that support during the postseason from the crew?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And I think the best part about it is that we have vet experience when it comes to Sydney Carlson, and she's a winner and she's a champion. And then you have people like Caitlin, who's a PG and can pass the ball. And so when I come on the sideline, I get feedback from some of the best players in the league. And so I don't take those moments for granted either, because I feel like it's a chance to see the game in a different route, and I get to, get to talk to them from a level of just them having confidence in me to make plays. So I love it. It's a good experience to have.
And yes, cynics might scoff at the idea that friendship could be the engine of a championship team, but the results speak for themselves. Mitchell believes in it. Clark fuels it. Boston anchors it. Hull embodies it. Together, they've taken a franchise once defined by futility and turned it into must-see TV. The Fever aren't begging for respect anymore, they're demanding it and earning it every single night. That's why Mitchell's comments weren't casual praise. They were a manifesto. In no uncertain terms, she declared that Caitlin Clark has fundamentally altered the trajectory of women's basketball and that she, Kelsey Mitchell, is all in on being part of that revolution.
No jealousy, no bitterness.
Just gratitude, motivation, and an unshakable sense of partnership. That's rare in sports, and it's exactly why Indiana feels different right now. The broader WNBA should be worried. While Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and veterans like Aya Wilson or Cheryl Swoops spend their time downplaying Clark's impact or stirring unnecessary drama, Indiana is building something real, something sustainable. Something fans can rally around not just for a season, but for a generation. Mitchell has made her choice. Her allegiance isn't to the old guard, it's to the future, embodied by Caitlin Clark and a Fever squad ready to dominate. The bottom line? Kelsey Mitchell didn't just endorse Clark. She embraced her, validated her, and vowed to build alongside her. That's not just respect. That's alliance. And in doing so, she's thrown down the gauntlet for the rest of the league. Acknowledge what's happening in Indiana or get left behind watching the Fever rewrite history. Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull remain united, the WNBA doesn't just have a contender on its hands, it has a problem. A dynasty in the making. A warning shot aimed straight at the league's old power structure. What do you think of Mitchell and Clark's bond? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.